Terrible lately. Terrible. Broski. Hello, once again, this is Antonio, and I'm coming at you with another exciting case. So, in this case, Judge Hayward goes through a series of trials. These are Zoom trials, of course, but they were not long enough just to make the video just individually. So I decided to leave all of them together because one by one, they were like dominoes. She kept knocking them down and come to the next one and knock them down. They range from assaults to drinking when you're not supposed to, and other deviant, defiant cases. So, nonetheless, let's dive into them. This is Antonio. If you don't know who I am, you just stumbling across my channel. We drop tons of variations of court videos, from murder trials to assault to child support to we just drop a series of court trials. So, nevertheless, let's dive in.
Okay, no problem. Whatever keeps things working smoothly. So, Jasmine Hardnett.
She's here, Your Honor.
Ms. Hardnett, raise your right hand for me. Do you solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give in this matter will be true?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, you can put your hand down. You're before the court on State of Georgia versus Jasmine M. Hardnett, 2021 CR 06132 for disorderly conduct. You're represented by Ms. Chelsea Hahn of the law firm of Lister, Holt, and Dennis. Ms. Hahn, what does your client plead to the offenses before the court?
Nolo, Your Honor.
All right. By entering a plea of nolo, you give up the right to have a trial by jury or judge. You give up the right to have the state prove your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. You give up the right to have the presumption of innocence in your favor. You give up the right to confront witnesses, subpoena witnesses, present testimony and evidence on your behalf, to not incriminate yourself, or present any testimony or evidence against yourself. And if you're not a United States citizen, a plea of guilty or no contest could negatively impact your immigration status. Do you understand all of these things, ma'am?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Factual basis and recommendation, please.
Yes, Your Honor.
Apologize, Your Honor. On February the 10th, 2021, officers responded to 11 Upper Riverdale Road, located here in Clayton County, Georgia, in reference to a disturbance. When officers made contact with Cecilia, Cecilia Mote, M-O-T-E, the victim indicated that the defendant, later identified as Ms. Jasmine Hardnett, was brought into the hospital to be treated for her headache. At that point, the defendant began spitting at other nurses and also attempting to throw a trash can. It's my understanding, while they were attempting to speak with the defendant, she stated she wanted to kill that bitch, referring to the victim. Those are the facts of the case, Your Honor. The state's recommendation, as I understand it, is 12 months probation, a mental health evaluation, and any recommended treatment, to have no contact with Cecilia Mote, which is the listed victim, and do not return to that location unless there is a medical emergency.
All right. All right, Ms. Hahn, how old is your client? You're muted. Oh, go ahead.
She's 29 years old.
Okay. And is there any history of mental or physical issues?
Your Honor, she shared with me, I'm not sure if there's any documented, but she has shared with me that she's experienced some traumatic events. The mental health evaluation will be good because she's let me know that she doesn't have a diagnosis of anything, but she has shared with me that she's experienced some trauma.
Okay. All right. So, Miss Moat, who is that, and how is she related to Miss Hardnett?
Your Honor, I believe that's just an employee at the hospital.
Oh,
That is
okay.
correct, Your Honor. She was a nurse, one of the nurses.
Okay. I wasn't sure if that was who brought her in or if it was one of the nurses. All right. So, Miss Hardnett, we're going to go ahead and give you 12 months probation in exchange for your NOLO plea, a mental health evaluation, so we can figure out if there's anything that you need to be treated for. But I want to say to you that even if there's something there, if they find something, go ahead and take your medicine. Go ahead and get the therapy that they or offer. So because you can live a great life, but once you know what's going on, you can deal with it. When you don't know, it leaves you vulnerable to, having an outburst that you can't control, and then you end up in the hospital or in jail. Okay, and we want to avoid that. So it's just like somebody who has high blood pressure or diabetes. If they don't stay on their treatment plan, they're going to have some consequences. So if you have a treatment plan after you've had this opportunity to be evaluated, then just stay on your treatment plan. If things need to be adjusted, go back to your doctor, get things adjusted, but you don't want to have to be in and out of jail just based on something that maybe you can get treatment for. Okay.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. So, and you're to have no contact with Basilia Moat. And unless it's an emergency and you're taken there, you're not to go back to the location, which is the hospital. Okay.
Yes, Your
All right. Thank you.
Honor. Thank you, Your Honor.
All righty. Angela Thomas Sheffield.
Your Honor, W. Jones doesn't have her. I think she was
Is
released.
she OTB? Okay. I would think so on a traffic ticket.
Yes, Your Honor. I thought so as well.
She must have just missed work. All right. And those are the only two females that I had, unless I'm missing something.
Your Honor, I don't believe there's any more females. Deputy Jones is switching Ms. Hardnett out, and he's gonna get Mr. Adams.
Okay, no problem. Thank you. All right, this is the jail calendar for July 2nd, 2024 at 10 a.m. I'm Judge Tammy Long Hayward. This is Mr. Eddie Conrad Adams Jr. Mr. Adams is represented by the law firm of Lister, Holt, and Dennis and has two cases for which he has a petition pending for revocation of probation. Mr. Adams was before this court on two DUI cases. One second. All right. So, Mr. Adams, raise your right hand for me, sir. You solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give in this matter will be true.
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
All right. So you're before the court on state of Georgia versus Eddie Conrad Adams Jr. 2021 CR 04501 and 2023 CR 06989.
She's up here now. It'll come back.
All right. So, Mr. Adams, you're represented by attorney Chelsea Hahn for the law firm of Lister Holt and Dennis. It says that you were convicted or took a plea to DUI, 0.08 grams or more, 21 and over, driving under the influence of alcohol, open container violation on the 10th day of October 2023. You were sentenced to 30 months on probation. And you have 3 months and 7 days remaining on the first probation case, 2021 CR 04501, followed by 18 months on consecutive case 2023 CR 06989. And it says that you failed to avoid injurious and vicious habits, that you tested positive for alcohol, and that was at the Clayton County Probation Office on May 23rd of 2024. You failed to report on June 20th, and you last reported June 25th by phone. You failed to attend and document proof of attending NA or Alcoholics Anonymous meetings at least 2 times per week as directed. You failed to complete community service. You were given 40 hours of community service on case 2021 CR 04501. At 8 hours per week. You failed to pay your fines and fees, and you are currently $1,402.50 in arrears. So, Mr. Adams, why aren't you doing anything that I ask you to do?
Your Honor, if I may.
You may.
Mr. Adams and I discussed that he has attended some AA meetings, but he hasn't shown proof. I think they were helping at some point. His father passed away, and he's been taking on all of the responsibility that comes with that, including the grief. He has siblings, and he was given some land and other things that he's been having to manage all of a sudden. So it's just been really hard on him. But he has told me that he has gone to meetings. We talked about the community service and the fines, and he will be completing them, but I think at least the testing positive may have something to do with the grief.
Ms. Hang, what's the recommendation from probation?
Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning.
Probation recommends that 6 days be revoked, and that's credit for time served since June 26th. Return to probation under all original conditions. Drug screen each report. Complete the 240 hours community service on this count by September 30th of this year.
This is his first hearing?
This is his first hearing, yes, Your Honor.
Okay, first time testing positive?
Yes, ma'am. He's been tested 6 times, and this is his first positive.
Okay. Mr. Adams, when did your father pass?
Maybe mid-April.
And you have siblings?
I do.
So sometimes, sir, you got to stand your ground and tell your siblings that you can't handle it all. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, ma'am.
Sometimes in a family, there's one person that everything gets piled onto that one person. And that one person sometimes has to stand up and say, look, I can't do it all. You got me?
Yes, ma'am, I understand.
Because you're dealing with some stuff that you need to be mindful of. If you drink, especially if you drink and drive, it has some severe consequences for you. And dealing with grief brings up a lot of those issues that might cause somebody to drink. But if you're the only one dealing with it, sometimes you got to step back and tell your siblings, hey, somebody else is going to have to deal with this. And stand your ground. You got me?
I understand that.
Sometimes we have to prioritize ourselves. And, we grow up in a society where they think that's selfish for doing that because everybody will say, man, you got to stand behind your family. You got to do this, you got to do that. But those same people won't support you when those same people aren't putting money on your books in the jail. They aren't going to pay these fines and fees for you. So those same people who would say to you, you got to go out there and do this for your fam, they're not going to do it for you. Sometimes you have to prioritize yourself. As I say, you got to sometimes put the life jacket on yourself before you put it on anybody else. Because if you drown first, nobody gets saved. You hear me?
I understand. I'm listening to you.
Okay.
It was a moment of weakness and just
Well,
aggravation.
no, grief is not weakness, sir. That is a normal emotion. So please don't see it as weakness. You were coping the best way you knew how to the grief that you were feeling, but the meetings will help you to find a better way to cope because the grief is not going to go away. I mean, your dad passed. That's not going to be just dried up in a minute. You will deal with it for some time. And so since we know that, we can acknowledge that, then we just got to find a better way to deal with it. Okay. All right. Yeah, that's not weakness. It's a trauma response. You have had grief, and that was the best way you knew to deal with it. All right. So I'll accept the recommendation from probation. I'll give you credit for time served for the 6 days. You're going to return to probation under the original conditions. You're going to test at each report, and you'll do your 240 hours of community service by September 30th. And if you work at a pretty quick pace, then you should be able to do those rather quickly. Is there anything else, Ms. Hahn, that we need to talk about on this case?
No, Your Honor, nothing else.
Your Honor, if I may give him his next appointment.
You may.
Mr. Adams, you need to report next Wednesday, July the 10th at 10 a.m.
Okay, Ms. Chairman.
All right, you got that? Don't miss your report date. It seems, Ms. Chang, it appears that you've done pretty well up to this point, but I get what happened. So
I've already paid my reinstatement fee, so October the 14th, I can just go pick up my license. As far as like I've done the DUI class, I've done the risk reduction class, so like as far as like this, and I believe in 4 months, I can just go pay the $30 and pick up my license. It's kind of difficult to get back and forth with like rideshare, but I'm trying my best to make it happen. It's very expensive. But besides that, I'm actually really trying because I really kind of want to just do what the court has ordered me to do and just put this behind me.
okay. But what I say to you, Mr. Adams, let's not be so quick to put this behind us. 2 DUIs in that short space of time, it is clear you have a problem with alcohol. And so that's not a weakness either. It's a disease. And so I don't want you to put that behind you because if you get your license and then you go back to doing what you did before because you put it behind you, then you put your life and other people's lives in jeopardy. Okay. So what I want you to do is keep it present in your mind is that you have some things that you have to deal with, but if you deal with them responsibly, you're good. All right. So yeah, I don't want you to sweep it under the rug or put it behind you. I want you to deal with it responsibly. That's why I ordered the AA and NA meetings because there are people like you who can tell you how they've coped, how they've, dealt with things. Okay. All right. So you can go back with the sheriff's office. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, is this Mr. Cook?
Your Honor, this is Mr. Farrell. Mr. Cook isn't up yet. Deputy Jones is just checking on him.
Okay. Christopher Michael Farrell?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Mr. Carmichael is your probation officer.
Yes, Your Honor.
In Georgia or in
Oh. So you got a court date. Do you know when it is?
All right, so Mr. Is it Farrell or Farrell?
Pharrell.
Okay, so Mr. Farrell, raise your right hand for me. You solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give in this matter will be true.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so Mr. Farrell, you're before the court on State of Georgia versus Christopher Michael Farrell Jr. Petition for revocation on case 2020 CR 00623 for driving under the influence, improper lane change on October 22nd. I'm sorry, October 24th of 2022. You were sentenced to 12 months on probation. You have 4 months and 23 days remaining because your sentence was told because you failed to appear for probation.
Yeah, you might want to say that until you clear all this.
All
up.
right,
Oh, you got a lot of stuff going on down here. What brought you down here?
all right. So, Ms. Hahn of the law firm of Lister Holton Dennis is representing you. The probation department reports that you failed to report on March 15th, 2023, April 21st, 2023, May 1st, 2023. You've never reported to probation. You failed to report to the courthouse on May 22nd for a revocation hearing. You have failed to provide a drug and alcohol evaluation. You failed to provide a risk reduction program certificate. You failed to complete 40 hours of community service, and you failed to pay your currently $1,318 in arrears. All right, so somebody tell me what's going on.
Well, Your Honor, Mr. Farrell is going to agree the technical violations. He explained to me that he didn't do any of the conditions of probation. He had moved to Detroit. He did explain that he did attempt to call to check in. I think he was sentenced during the pandemic. And at one point he was doing phone reporting with Mr. Cash. But aside from that, he was under the impression that he needed to be here to complete his probation conditions. He didn't complete them. There really isn't an excuse. He takes responsibility, and he's ready to accept probation's recommendation.
What's the recommendation, Mr. Carmichael?
Serve 30 days, close case, and give him credit for time served. That he's had that this time he served in jail already. Hasn't been a full 30 days.
How did we get him if he was in Detroit? How did he come back? He just came back, or I don't think we extradited on DUI, but how did we get him?
Your Honor, he said that he came back specifically to try to handle this case because he knew it was still pending.
Okay. Anything else, Ms. Hahn?
No, Your Honor, we just ask that you accept probation's recommendation.
How long has he been in?
About a week, right? Since last Monday, Your Honor.
All right, so defendant shall have 30 days revoked, and after service of 30 days in the Clayton County Jail, he shall have his case closed. Defendant shall receive credit since lockup.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Mr. Farrell, you have children?
I do not.
Okay, so I'm sure you have some people you love. Please be mindful that if you get out on the road in a situation where you're drinking and driving, you could harm someone's loved one and you yourself could be harmed. I don't know if you believe you have a problem with alcohol. I think anybody who ends up in jail has a problem with alcohol if alcohol is the reason you're here. But if you do, I encourage you to get some help, either through AA or NA, or if you're working and have the ability to get help through your benefits program, please do that. You understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you, sir. You can go back with the sheriff's office.
Thank you.
And Your Honor, that was my last case. May I be excused?
Sure, Mr. Carmichael, thank you.
Thank you. Good to see you again, Your Honor.
Good to see you. All right, who's next?
Your Honor, next on, I think, if we can do Mr. Daniel Jackson,
Okay,
because there's a few cases, I think maybe one or two that I'd like to speak to the state about.
okay.
So, ready.
All right, well then, once you all do that, I can put you in a breakout room.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor.
All right.
Oh, okay. Your Honor,
Yes, ma'am.
can we send Mr. Pennington back down? He's going to be entering a plea of not guilty.
Okay, that's fine.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Jackson, raise your right hand for me. You solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give in this matter will be true.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you can put your hand down. Mr. Jackson, you're before the court on a probation revocation. Your case 2023 CR 01804 for State of Georgia versus Daniel Jackson. You were before this court on pointing a pistol at another on the 28th day of February 2023, convicted and sentenced to 10 months on probation after service of 60 days in jail. Under first offender, without an adjudication of guilt, you have 5 months and 9 days remaining on probation, but the sentence was tolled because you failed to report on April 15th, May 18th, May 23rd, June 15th, and within 10 days of June 16th, 2023. You reported by phone on June 12th of 2023. You failed to comply with counseling. You didn't get a gun safety course completed. You failed to complete 100 hours of community service, and you're $575 in arrears. You're represented by attorney Chelsea Hahn of the law firm of Lister, Holton, Dennis. Ms. Hahn, how old is your client again?
Your Honor, he's 19.
Okay, so what's going on, Mr. Grown 19? Because you're grown at 19, sir.
Your Honor, he explained to me that he became homeless. He had he experienced a house fire, his home burned down. And that's why he's been unable to complete any of the conditions thus far. As a 19-year-old, it's been really difficult on him to, complete anything without having a roof over his head. That's why.
Okay, so Mr. Jackson, did you complete high school?
What you said, man? Say it again.
Did you finish high school?
No, dropped out 10th grade.
What you doing now, sir?
Me trying to find me a job and we trying to get us a new house with my mom.
Okay. Is it just you and your mom, or you
No,
have brothers and sisters?
sisters, 6 of them. Actually, yeah, 6 of them. I'm the 7th.
Okay. Are you so is it kind of everybody still together, or everybody's kind of separated because of the fire?
We separated right now. My brothers and sister, and I'm staying with my godmama and my twin sister and my other little brother.
Okay. Ms. Chang, what's the recommendation? You're muted, Ms. Chang. That's okay.
Probation recommends that 30 days be revoked. Thereafter, close the case. He has been incarcerated since June 26th. We're also asking that the first offender be revoked.
All right, Ms. Hall.
Your Honor, possible we would like that the first offender status remain intact, given the circumstances. He's 19-year-old kid, he's homeless, he does not have the gun or he has been homeless, he doesn't have the gun anymore. If possible, he's willing to accept probation's recommendation of the 30 days and close the case, but he'd like to maintain his first offender status because I think it'll be beneficial for him to have that moving forward, considering that he's so young.
All right, so here's what I'm willing to do. Okay, so 10 days in jail. Case is going to be suspended. He's not to have any firearms in his possession. And I'll let him keep his first offender. But he's got to report to probation when he gets a job. Like as soon as he gets a job, he has to report to probation. Then I'll close it.
Gotcha.
Do you have any questions for me? Any questions? Okay. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. So once he gets a job, he needs to bring that information to his probation officer and let her know so she can report it back to me that he has a job, and then I'll complete the case. But up until then, he'll do 10 days and it'll be suspended.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome.
You can go back.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Ms.
That's all I
Chang.
have this morning. May I be excused?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Glad you're back, Your Honor.
Thank you. Me too.
Good to see you.
All right, who's next? All right, so I believe that Miss, on the arraignment calendar, there's a bench warrant for Miss Sanders Green. Can we get, since she resolved her case today, can we get, make sure that that bench warrant is cleared? It should be cleared because she resolved the case, but I just want to make sure she doesn't have any trouble. Hey, Mr. Taylor,
Good morning, Your Honor. It's good to see you.
good to see you too.
Yeah.
Oh, y'all can't escape me. You keep coming back. What we got?
This is Mr. Williams, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Williams, raise your right hand for me. You solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give in this matter will be true.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you can put your hand down. So we're before the court for Samuel Capri Williams for criminal trespass. Mr. Williams, you're represented by the law firm of Lister, Holt, and Dennis. Mr. Taz Taylor is with you as your attorney. Mr. Taylor, what is your client plea on case 2024 CR 05301 for criminal trespass?
Your Honor, my client's plea entering a NOLO plea.
All right. So, Mr. Williams, by entering a plea of NOLO, you give up the right to have a trial by jury or judge. You give up the right to have the state prove your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. You give up the right to have the presumption of innocence in your favor. You give up the right to confront witnesses, subpoena witnesses, present testimony and evidence on your behalf, to not incriminate yourself or present any testimony or evidence against yourself. And if you're not a United States citizen, a plea of guilty or no contest could negatively impact your immigration status. Do you understand all of these things, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, factual basis recommendation, please.
Yeah, Your Honor. On May the 23rd, 2024, officers responded to 6000 North Terminal Parkway, which is the Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport located here in Clayton County, Georgia. Officers observed the defendant, Mr. Williams, who they had previously issued a criminal trespass warning that was issued on December the 31st, 2023. It was currently active. He was not supposed to be at the airport at that time. Those are the facts of the case, Your Honor. The state's recommendation is as follows: 12 months to serve, 35 days credit for time served. Balance suspended on the condition that he does not return to the airport, Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport, unless he has official business to be in there.
All right. Mr. Williams,
Yes, ma'am.
they're making it harder and harder for people to just hang out at the airport, sir. And so, you know, the city of Atlanta, see, people don't understand, but we adjudicate the cases, but city of Atlanta does the policing. And you'll see city of Atlanta police at the airport, even though the cases come to us. And the city of Atlanta has some new rules about how they're going to allow access at the airport. So that may not be the best place for you to go. You understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, because you're going to end up right back here in jail, or you're going to end up with some more serious consequences because some of the new rules that they have. So I'm going to accept your plea of NOLO. I'm going to sentence you to 12 months to serve 35 days, and I'll give you credit for time served. The balance is going to be suspended as long as you do not go back to Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport unless you have a ticket for travel on that day. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Okay, Mr. Williams. Thank you, sir. You can go back with the sheriff.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Who's next?
Thank you, Your Honor. We need a breakout room with Ms. Ponder with the state
Oh.
brief.
No problem. All right. All right, so I'm going to put the courtroom and Ms. Ponder in breakout room number 1. All right, I'll see y'all when y'all are back.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Is going to look like. Is there, I know Mr. Brooks is really involved in trying to make sure these cases where the person has a diagnosed illness but is not at this time ready to participate in their own defense. I'm sure we can come up with something, but the issue for me is that I don't want to, one, lose track of Mr. Cook, and number two, I want to make sure that my control over him does not exceed the court's jurisdiction.
Understood, Your Honor.
So I mean, whatever order kind of puts that in place, I'd be fine with that.
Okay, Your Honor. If I could get with Mr. Moore, and then I know Ms. Ponder had indicated to me that one of the other attorneys in our office, Ms. Harvey Williams, had done something similar. So if I could get with them and draft the order, send it to your email, and if there's any revisions, I'd be happy to make them.
All right, that sounds good. Because yeah, if we can maybe come up with something that works, and because I know we have a few of these cases, so if we can come up with something that works for both sides, where we sort of don't hold on beyond what our jurisdiction is, but we do kind of release to a safe space, that would work really well for me.
Yes, Your Honor, I understand.
All right, did you have anything else?
Your Honor, I don't have anything else. We're ready on Mr. Mario Hill. It's going to be a plea of guilty.
Okay. Mr. Hill, raise your right hand for me. You solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give in this matter will be true.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you can put your hand down. Mr. Hill, you're before the court on 2021 CR 06166. Mario Hill, you're represented by Attorney Chelsea Hahn with the law firm of Lister, Holt and Dennis. This is a battery family violence case, count 1, battery count 2, simple battery family violence count 3, and simple battery count 4. And you're entering a plea of guilty. Is it to count 1 and the others merge, Ms. Hahn?
Yes, Your Honor, that's correct.
All right. By doing so, you give up the right to have a trial by jury or judge. You give up the right to have the state prove your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. You give up the right to have the presumption of innocence in your favor. You give up the right to confront witnesses, subpoena witnesses, present testimony and evidence on your behalf, to not incriminate yourself or present any testimony or evidence against yourself. And if you're not a United States citizen, a plea of guilty or no contest could negatively impact your immigration status. Do you understand all of these things?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, factual basis recommendation, please.
Yes, Your Honor. Your Honor, on January the 21st, 2021, officers responded to 6428 Church Street, Riverdale, Georgia, located here in Clayton County, Georgia, in reference to a domestic disturbance. When officers arrived on scene, they made contact with a Lakeisha Lowe, Lakesha, last name Lowe, Lowe. She stated that her brother, later identified as the defendant before you, Mr. Hill, punched her 16-year-old son in the face and fled the scene. Officers did observe that the victim in this case, Jamarcus Lowe, had dried blood on his nose and scratches on the left side of his chin and neck. Those are the facts of the case, Your Honor. The state's recommendation. And I'm sorry if I can just have one moment. Ms. Hahn. Excuse me, Ms. Hahn.
Yes, Ms. Potter, I'm sorry.
And was he accepting the recommendation that you relayed to me that was on the paper, or the one that I relayed to you?
I may have missed in writing down the one that you gave to me, because I have.
Mine was,
Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
No, you can go ahead and say what yours was.
It was 12 months to serve, 8 months in custody, balance suspended, no violent harassing contact with Jamarcus Lowe.
No, so he's gonna accept the probated offer that was on you.
Okay, just
Yeah,
wanted to know you asked first. Okay. State's recommendations, 12 months to serve, 77 days credit for time served, balance probated, a $500 fine, 40 hours of community service, to enroll in complete anger management, and to have no violent or harassing contact with Jamarcus, Jamarcus, last name Lowe, Lowe.
Okay. All right. So, Mr. Hill, Ms. Hahn, did you have anything else for Mr. Hill?
I did, Your Honor. Just
Go ahead.
he indicated to me that he would like the $500 to be converted to community service. So if he could do 90 hours of community service. Also, Your Honor, and I failed to mention this to Ms. Ponder, but he's been sentenced to 2 years of probation in Fulton County for a separate case where he has to do anger management. So we're hoping that he can provide proof instead of taking the class multiple times. So he'll have to be in anger management, I believe, for the duration of his probation in Fulton, is my understanding.
I usually don't like to ask this, but what's the Fulton case for?
Aggravated assault.
Mr. Hill, you got anger problems, sir. I mean, thus the anger management class, but sir, you're gonna run into somebody bigger than you. I mean, a 16-year-old, some of them strong, but what I'm saying is a 16-year-old, you know, I mean, you might be able to whoop them, but if you keep up with the way you going, you're gonna run into somebody who ain't gonna really take that from you. You got me?
Yes, man. This my last rodeo. I'm done.
That's what they always say. How I get to be the last rodeo judge? Everybody tell me this their last rodeo. Mr. Hill, I hope it is, because I'm gonna tell you, sir. They got some people, you know, been working out, lifting weights. These young people strong, they drinking milk. I mean, you don't want to run into the wrong one with your little anger management issues, and then they have anger management issues and you don't win that one. It's hard out here. So what I'm saying to you is sometimes you don't have to fight. Sometimes you can just say, man, go on. It's cool. You got me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I'm going to accept your plea of guilty to count 1. Counts 2, 3, and 4 will merge. I'll send you to 12 months to serve 77 days credit for time served. The balance will be probated for you to do a $500 fine, which will be converted into 50 hours of community service. You can also do 40 hours of community service, so that will equate to 90 hours of community service. You're to take an anger management class, but we will accept the anger management class proof from the probation in the Fulton County case. You're to have no violent are you still with Mr. Lane's mama?
Your Honor, so that's his nephew.
Oh, okay. So you're to have no violent or harassing contact with Marcus Lowe. I'm sorry, not Lane. Mr. Jamarcus Lowe. And sir, are you doing community service in Fulton County too?
No, ma'am. I just say
Oh.
class and that's it.
Okay. All right. So make sure that you do not miss your probation check-ins, because if you miss probation check-ins, that is the quickest way to get rearrested. Okay. You have to do your probation reports. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And sir, to the anger management class, listen, sir, anger, it burns you up inside. You know, it's like a fuel that once it's consumed, it doesn't leave anything. And what I'm saying to you is, how old are you, sir?
I'm 32 now.
Oh, you young. Yeah, you got a long way to go in this life. But if you keep meeting everything with the anger, it's not gonna last long, because you're gonna meet somebody who angrier than you. You got me?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. You can go back with the sheriff's office.
Thank you, Your
They're
Honor.
gonna let you speak to probation, okay?
Yeah, we don't Yeah. I think everything's done.
Okay, so thank you for all who's stuck through this video. I did this video, of course, for educational purposes. And I do these videos. Let's not pretend like I'm running a business. So I do these videos and I do tons of court videos. But I do these videos. A lot of them I do them for for educational purposes, and that's what this for. Some people are just defiant. They are defiant as children. You tell them don't put your hand on the fire, and they gotta put their hand on the fire to see if it's hot. You could tell them, do not lick out your tongue on a frozen, day on a telephone pole. And what would they do? Stick out their tongue, and that tongue will get stuck to that telephone pole, not because you didn't tell them not to do it, just because they wanted to be defiant. And that's exactly what happened in these individual cases. But nevertheless, this is Antonio with Team Tiggio. You can subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell. You can support the channel through Cash App or Super Chat. And once again, we will see you in the next video.